How's it going, aliens? My name's iALiEN. Today I'm back on another Identity 5 video, and today's video is about the newest balance changes coming to the game very soon. These are gigantic changes, gigantic buffs, gigantic nerfs. It will really impact the game, so let's get right into the video. Okay, before I get into the changes, I do want to plug my Discord server. The link will be in the pinned comment below, as well as in the description below. So go click the link and join the server today. Also, we are now over 18,000 subscribers. We're so close to 20k. That's my goal. So if you can please go subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. It will be much appreciated. Thank you. Okay, let's get into the changes. I've seen many opinions about these changes that I don't want to say are wrong, because frankly, no one knows. I don't know 100% what these changes will do to the game, but a lot of them are kind of not well informed. I've seen a lot of people, talking about it on Discord, making videos about it, and it's just the opinions. I wanted to add my own opinions coming from someone who, mains and is very good at a lot of the characters getting changed, has played a lot of the characters getting changed, but also pays a lot more attention to the meta in both global and in China server, because I do think that's an opinion that I should share to help a lot of people who are misinformed about these changes or, curious about them. Let's start off with the first buff, and that is the biggest change in this update. This update, the biggest change is Axeboy. He's getting basically reworked the same way Feaster got reworked, the same way Wu Chang got reworked. Both of those buffs were amazing, made them very viable hunters. Just perfect buffs in my opinion, perfectly balanced hunters, and they're both still really viable today. Axeboy is getting a change to that degree. Axeboy, when multiple tree networks connect, every pair of trees will form a root surfboard. However, any tree destroyed in this pair will make the surfboard disappear. When survivors leave the tree networks, the wraiths will fly towards survivors and revolve around them for 30 seconds before disappearing. Each survivor can only be revolved by 2 maximum wraiths. Robbie gains a large gain in speed in all interaction speeds. Each match can maximally have 6 trees present at any one time. When survivors destroy a tree, it removes the tree network, and it earns the chance to remove the wraiths from coming close to their body. And of course, destroying the trees gives your position away. Level 0 presence, Robbie can command the wraiths to fly toward him when within a tree network or when near a survivor possessed by the wraiths. If they touch the survivor, if the fireballs touch the survivors, it causes a normal damage and disappears. If it, gets absorbed by him, obviously it gives them a speed boost, and the disappear fireballs will reappear 30 seconds later near the tree. That's when they spawn back. It's a 30-second cooldown on refresh on them. And of course, you can plant new trees when you have tree branches. Level 1 presence, Robbie can expand one branch by holding the branch to create a surfboard. Then to the surfboard, a tree will sprout. If it doesn't create a tree, it will return the branch. So I think this is the same as what he currently has. The surfboard thing, the speed boost. But it also creates a tree now. In level 2 presence, when survivors leave the tree network, they will experience a great movement speed decrease for 3 seconds. Some statistics adjustments about Axeboy is they reduce the distance he can control the fireballs. They increase the time taken for the fireballs to reappear. They reduce the flight speed of the fireballs. They increase the width of the surfboard. They decrease the cooldown time for the surfboard. The surfboard will now be automatically generated in between the trees. Movement speed effect is weaker than the version manually created by his ability, But now you get automatic surfboards. Survivors can't be repeatedly attacked by fireballs within 12 seconds. This is, I'm pretty sure it's when his presence refreshes, he gets another fireball immediately. He can double fireball you. If this is true, then this means you can't be double fireballed anymore. And he can now plant trees at more heights. Let's just discuss this change. This change for Axeboy. What are his biggest weaknesses right now? 2 words. Transitional kiting. Transitional kiting destroys Axeboy. You can set up your trees, you can set up your peepers, but as soon as the survivor takes that broken window speed boost and they move to another area, everything you just set up is useless. And now he is just an M1 hunter that has nothing to chase with. That's the biggest problem with Axeboy. The devs realize this is his biggest problem, and this buff is addressing it. You see, at max presence, when survivors leave the trees, they get a great movement speed decrease for 3 seconds. So when the survivors try to transitional kite him, it makes it a lot harder because they're getting the speed decreased. On top of that, the fireballs are not only, instead of the fireballs being hinged onto the trees themselves, so as soon as you leave the trees, you lose everything. As soon as you leave the trees, you lose everything. Now, when the survivors leave the trees, so when they transitional kite you, like we've been saying, the fireballs stay on them. They now revolve around the survivors. So when a survivor basically does what you normally do against an Axeboy, he gets everything set up, you leave at starting all the time of the game. Now the Axeboy still has a chance to hit you with a fireball because 2 fireballs are revolving around you that he can hit you with. At max presence, you get an even bigger downside to transitional kiting him because now you get the movement speed decrease. So what this is doing is this is rewarding skill. This is rewarding skill more than just running a marathon. Now you have to dodge his trees. You should be dodging his fireballs more than what people do now. They don't really try to dodge the fireballs. They just run away from the fireballs. But the devs are taking a lot of this away to where instead of making the main strategy, oh, just run away from him, now it's you have to actually be dodging them. And it rewards the survivor skill for dodging. It rewards his skill, Axeboy, the skill of the Axeboy player to hit the fireball. So overall, this is just a very good change, and it just makes him a viable hunter. Is he going to be broken? No, he's not going to be broken, but is he going to be an A-tier hunter? Yes, I would definitely say so. He's going to be an A-tier hunter. This is, once again, another great change. The devs are amazing about hunter buffs. Like, that's one of the best things they're great at. I talked about Feaster. They gave a perfect buff to him to make him completely balanced A tier, not A plus, not A minus, A tier. Same goes for Wu Chang. Perfect buff, make him perfectly balanced A tier. Axeboy, I see a similar thing happening. I see him having the same way of being A tier. Another successful buff. Really good change to him, and Axeboy main should be very happy that he's finally getting some love and he's getting a really nice buff and he will be viable. Now that we talked about Axeboy, let's move to Priestess's Nerf. They made it so that her long portals cannot be created nor accepted on moonlit slides. This is broken. You could body block it and accept the long portal on the slide. That's just broken. It needed to be taken away. They did it. Good job. Priestess can no longer open a portal from second floor towards basement. This is in very, very select areas. The only area I know specifically is in hospital. You can go to the second floor of hospital and you can get it down to basement and it's a broken portal. Maybe you can do it in double story, clown house, and moonlit too. but I just know hospital for a fact. Once again, this is just something broken that they're taking away, so I mean, good job. And the main change is her regular portals will disappear after 70 seconds. This is to reduce her support. This is so, the portals don't stay forever and the survivors can't just keep using her portals after she put them in super early ahead of time. Also, if you put a portal at the start of the game, it's going to disappear in 70 seconds. So you have to be more conservative with your portals now. Overall, while this is a nerf and it will make a difference, you're going to play a game that you are going to win that game because of this nerf. Like, let's say this nerf never happened and you faced a priestess on the team. You would have lost that game, but because this nerf happened, you win. There's going to be at least one game, I promise you, you play it, and you can look back at this nerf and say, this won me this game. However, Priestess is one of the most broken and toxic survivors in the game. She's S tier. She's high S tier. A top 3 survivor. I'll just say it right now. I haven't made my newest survivor tier list yet, but just a sneak peek. Yes, she's a top 3 survivor in this game right now. And for you to continually giving her such small, trivial nerfs, I mean, it's a slap in the face to hunters for a priestess to still be this broken and for this to be the nerf she receives. When you'll see broken hunters, as we'll see later, and they get bigger nerfs than this. But, I mean, it's a good nerf nonetheless. I'm just expecting more. Dancer is getting a nice buff. She really needed a buff. She's getting it. Her slow music box will only affect hunters. It doesn't affect survivors. This is nice. It's just dumb that, it hurts your team. So this is nice. It adds to her support ability. Her fast music box will only affect survivors, not hunters. This means that you can use the fast box to kite now. The fast box is now a kiting box too. That's good. And stacks of slow music box will reduce movement speed. They're basically just lowering the buffs you get from it, because now that the boxes are more useful, they want to decrease the power of the boxes, and they removed her trait Dancer. The only trait I know that Dancer has is the one is basically balanced landing. I don't know if that trait is called Dancer. I apologize. You can tell me in the comments. But if they removed, basically balanced landing from her, that's kind of sad. But maybe it's not that. Maybe it's just a different trait that I'm not thinking about. But this is a nice change to Dancer. I mean, the problem with Dancer is not her music boxes. It's the hunters that counter her. Bloody Queen, Feaster, Violinist, Axeboy, Ripper. Heck, I mean, Spider to a degree, Clown to a degree, Dream Witch Patroller. The list goes on, and this doesn't change any of that. So while Dancer will be back into A tier, she fell to B tier in my last tier list, and rightfully so. She will be put back into A minus tier because of this. Nice change to Dancer to make her better at what she does, but she is not going to be viable. This meta does not reward kiters. It rewards rescuers and support characters. It does not reward kiting characters. There is only one viable kiter in top tier tournament play, and that's Perfumer. And this doesn't change, but it's a nice buff nonetheless to Dancer, and it's good for Dancer mains. I used to main Dancer, so I'm really happy about this, and I am thinking about, playing her again. Mind's Eye. When she hits the cane on the ground, she can disturb nearby hunters who will lose balance and move a certain distance backwards. When hunters are interrupted by the sonar waves, the nearer they are, the further they repel. Kind of like Prospector. Cooldown's 45 seconds. She can now use the cane while moving. Nice. And they reduced her decoding speed. They basically made her less blind. And now when she uses the cane, it's basically like you're a regular survivor. So that's actually kind of cool that when she uses the cane, it's like you're a regular survivor. And also now she's just less blind. This is not a buff to Mind's Eye. In my opinion, this is a nerf to Mind's Eye. Decoding does not matter much in this meta. That's why Mind's Eye sucks. She's pretty bad because of it. But if you're going to do anything, at least keep her as a glass cannon. But to decrease her decoding speed of 20% and still be the worst kiter in this game. I mean, Mechanic decodes faster than her now. And Mechanic has a bot to decode too. And Mechanic can body block with the bot. And Mechanic can rotate. And Mechanic can, decode and save at the same time. She can open exit gates with the bot. She can do all of this. While Mind's Eye is just by herself. I don't understand why they nerfed her decoding speed when this kiting buff is not big at all. She's still going to be such a quick down. She's still going to be so easy to kill. This is a nerf in my honest opinion, but at the very least, it's an adjustment. It's not a buff. It's not a buff. It's an adjustment, and to me, it's a nerf to decrease her decoding speed. So yeah, this is just very disappointing for Mind's Eye. Doctor, this is one of the nicer buffs in this. She can only she heals 0.25 damage now, but the speed is also half. This is already how it goes. When you're healing up 0.25, it's faster than 0.5. Basically, this is a really nice buff. Let's say you get hit normally by a regular hunter. Your health goes to 1. You have 1 health left. Before, she had to heal the entire health, which took a long time. You had to heal all of that to be 2 hit again. Now she heals 0.5 of the health. So now she goes to 0.5 damage. So that means she can now absorb 1.5 damage. So this means she is now 2 hit again. Because if you get hit by a spider, you heal up once. You get hit by a spider again, you have 0.5 left. So now she's a 3 hit character. Then you can heal up 2 more times and you get another hit. But basically, this is a nice buff. It helps her kiting out a lot. It makes her... It really depends if you add on the persona, and you may be able to now get 3 hits with Doctor most of the time. But it just makes her a better character. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a good buff. It makes her a 3 hit character most of the time. And that's nice. Mechanic. Her puppet will now spawn behind her, and Mechanic and her puppet's cameras are now independent. When they switch, the perspective will not force you towards the same direction. Mechanic, of course, recently received a big nerf, but she's still really good. Really, really good. But this just makes her even better, and now lets her body block. Basically, if you want to body block, it's RNG. Sometimes the puppet spawns in front, sometimes it spawns in back. So it's completely random if you get the body block. Now, it's not random anymore. You control the body block. You can get good at body blocking. This makes her a better kiter. It's a nice buff to her. I really do like this change as well. And the second change also helps. When you're controlling the bot and yourself at the same time, because the hunter's close to both, and you're trying to kind of control both entities at the same time, it can get really bad right now because of the way the cameras are, but now this just helps that. These are just good changes to Mechanic, and she deserves both of them, and I think Mechanic is now in a very good spot in this game. Very viable, but not super broken either. I think this is where she will stay at. The next change is to Postman. Postman's getting a buff. He has a new ability. When the dog is not sending messages, simply clicking on the ability will control the dog to rush and bite in the direction the screen is facing. Holding the ability allows you to control a specific area where the dog will rush and bite. When the hunter is bitten by the dog, movement speed decreases by 35% and lasts for 6 seconds. If the dog does not bite the hunter while rushing, or when it reaches the maximum distance possible for rushing, or when it hits an obstacle, it returns to Postman, and when it's returning back, if it can still bite the hunter. When the dog bites the hunter, the ability will enter a cooldown period of 45 seconds. If it doesn't bite, it's a cooldown of 10 seconds. His messages have now been reduced from 6 to 3 types, so this means it's no longer randomized. This is very good. And the cooldown is increased. When the dog sends a message, it will appear in the receiver's vicinity 4 seconds later and continues to find a way to get to the receiver. This means all messages will be 10 to 15 seconds. This is very good. It makes them go on big maps as well as small maps now. They stabilize the time it takes, the travel time for the dog. This is very good. And the dog can't be bit by hunters. These are all very good changes for Postman. You took away the RNG element of the letters you got. You took away the travel time. You took away being able to hit the dog. Like, why were you ever able to do that? And you gave him a nice kiting buff. All very good changes to Postman. This is a really nice buff to him. Unfortunately, it won't do too much. He will be a B+ tier survivor. It's similar when we saw like the Thief buff, the Embalmer buff. If you remember, like, they seem good in theory. This seems good in theory, but in reality, it doesn't make him viable. He'll be B+ tier. A- tier, but that's stretching it. So I really have to just say B+ tier, most likely. But it just makes Postman a better character and reduces the dumb elements about him. So there's nothing wrong with this buff. It's a very nice change, and he deserves it. Next, for the hunters, Dreamwitch is getting nerfed. Yes, the best hunter in the game is getting nerfed. With each new leech, survivors' self-removal of leeches will decrease by 0, 5, 10, 15 seconds. When the number of survivors eliminated in a match, doesn't include the ones that escape though, are 1, 2, 3 survivors. Survivors' self-removal of leeches will be adjusted to 35, 30, 20, 15 seconds. So when 0 survivors are eliminated, it's 35 seconds to self-remove. When 1 survivor is eliminated, it's 30 seconds. When 2 survivors are eliminated, it's 20. When 3 are eliminated, it's 15. And with each new leech, survivor's self-removal leech will decrease by a certain time. This is just good. This is just a nice way to balance her out. I mean, it gives more counterplay for the survivor. It makes self-removing more viable, and that's what the devs are really trying to hinge on. The first ever nerf they ever gave to Dreamwitch was just making survivors able to self-remove, and now they're making self-remove, a viable strategy with this. So it's a very good change. But does this ruin Dreamwitch? Or no. Dreamwitch will be S tier. She will be the best hunter in the game. She's still the best hunter in the game. She's still the best hunter in the game. Not much change, but it just makes her less toxic to face. So it's a good change, and I appreciate the nerf for survivors. Me being a Dreamwitch main, of course, I don't like it, but it's a fair change. She's broken, and she's still broken. Next is Helen Buff. Helen will begin with 1 fire at the start of the match. His movement will disregard, the embers. So now he can't get stuck on the embers. Slightly increase his normal attack range, so they increased his hitbox. They shorten his return after attacks. This is the when you hit but you don't hit anything. Now it's quicker. They improved the AI of, the embers and the puppets. Now they won't hesitate before attacking. When Ember and puppets have yet to successfully attack, they will no longer remain in the same spot. So that's nice. They don't hesitate before attacking. They improved They increased the movement speed and speech recall the puppets, and they improved the distant throwing puppet mechanics. These are all really good changes for Helen. He needed all of these. He was the worst hunter in the game, and now he's not the worst hunter in the game. He's now the second worst hunter in the game. But these are good changes for Helen. I mean, the biggest thing is you don't need insolence anymore in Helen because you start with an Ember. So now you can just fully always go to Attention Trump card. It makes his Embers and puppets a lot scarier to kite because they don't hesitate before attacking anymore. They don't just stay in the same spot for 5 seconds. Helen was the slowest hunter in the game. He definitely needed a movement speed buff. He got that. And his just mechanics got overall improved. So this is just a really nice buff for Helen. Doesn't make him viable, no. But does it make him a better character? Yes. And that's really the trend for most of these changes you are seeing. These are not meta changing. Except for Axeboy, none of these are meta changing. These are just making them better versions of themselves. And that's not a bad thing. Next is Bloody Queen. Bloody Queen got nerfed. I know many people are happy about this, but many people are also overreacting about this. Bloody Queen's movement speed was nerfed. Her mirror images last for 13 seconds instead of 16. Boo-hoo. And her cooldowns increased to 15 from 12. The movement speed decrease is, we have yet to see how big that is, but I doubt it will be gigantic. Her mirror images last for less time. What does that matter if you're precise with the mirrors? If you're precise and you hit the mirror, it means nothing. And if the cooldowns increase from 15 seconds to 12 seconds, that means you're gaining basically a total. Each mirror you dodge is 3 more seconds now on a kite. So let's say you dodge 3 mirrors, which is unlikely, or let's say you survive 3 mirrors, so you dodge 1 and you get hit by 2. That means now you kited 9 seconds longer. You kited 9 seconds longer. But the thing is, the mirror images last for less time. So if we start at 0 seconds and I put a mirror, the mirror lasts until 16 seconds. And then it enters cooldown. And the cooldown is 12 seconds. So if you do 1 mirror, it takes 28 seconds before you can do your next mirror. Right? Because it takes 16 seconds. The mirror lasts for 16. Then it starts the cooldown for 12. So it takes 28 seconds for you to do your next mirror. Now, the mirror images last for 13 seconds. And then it enters the cooldown 3 seconds quicker. And now the cooldown is increased to 15 seconds. So that means the time for you to do your next mirror is still 28 seconds either way. So you're getting 2 mirrors in 28 seconds. Basically 2 mirrors in 30 seconds. This does nothing. All of the only thing this does is it makes it to where you have, instead of having, you're losing 3 seconds that you could use the mirror image. Those 3 seconds are instead being put into cooldown. So out of the 28 seconds for you to use 2 mirrors, 3 of those seconds are being changed. Those 3 seconds that you used to be able to use to hit are now useless. That's all this is. 3 seconds. And people are calling Bloody Queen ruined and she's bad. I've seen everything. This change is so, it's not big at all. She's at worst S minus tier. S minus tier. Absolute, like, if we say the extreme of this nerf, she is S minus tier. Okay? But when you do the math, it's really not a big change at all. You just have to be precise with the mirror. Okay? You have to be more precise. When you do a mirror, it takes more skill. You have to hit it. You can't have it up for as long as you used to. The only time this is a big nerf to Bloody Queen is against Perfumer. This is a really big buff to Perfumer, because now Perfumer can kite Bloody Queen so easily. Perfumer was basically a soft counter to Bloody Queen before. She's now a hard counter to Bloody Queen, basically, because Perfumer's cooldown is long. It's 10 seconds. So the way Bloody Queen worked, since the mirror image lasted so long, you could hit Perfumer twice in one mirror image. You could hit her once in Perfume, and then you could hit her again out of Perfume, or you could hit 2 Perfumes. Either way, it took away 2 Perfumes from her. Now you're only going to take away 1 Perfume from her. So that, drastically increases the kite timer Perfumer, because now you're only 1 Perfume for 1 mirror, when before it could be 2 Perfumes or a Perfume and you getting hit for a mirror. So that's why this is a buff for Perfumer against Bloody Queen. But for everyone else, this is not such a big change. For the only change this is because if you hit, right, at the 5 seconds mark, and then you have attack recovery, and then the survivor gets the speed boost and runs away. Before, you could stay on the mirror so long so that you could catch up to them and then teleport. Now you have less time to stay on the mirror and teleport. This change does affect her. I'm not saying it doesn't, but it's not a big nerf by any means. She is still an S tier hunter. The movement speed nerf is kind of big, but she's still an S tier hunter. It still takes 28 seconds to get 2 mirrors, and Bloody Queen is perfectly fine. Let's move to the map adjustments. Arn's Factory, they changed the window in Arn's Factory into a door. They added a pallet inside of Factory and a pallet outside of Factory. They added a hut in the area from the small hut towards the ruins in the main gate, and they adjusted cipher locations. This is really nice. It makes it to where you don't need confined space anymore. It's really nice. You should not have to bring confined space, even if you don't want to. It should be an option. Really good change to Arn's Factory. Leo's memories, the length of the stairs within the factory have been greatly reduced, and they added a pallet at the side of the factory. This is kind of nerf to survivors and a buff at the same time. It's a good change. Just makes it less toxic. Gets the chase over quicker. Moonlit, they added a new cipher at the 3rd stop. I believe they have a cipher at 3rd stop in 8v2, but they don't in normal. So basically they're just adding that to normal. And they adjusted the cipher spawns and some survivor spawns in Moonlit. They adjusted some spawn points near the shack, which is good, because I think in Hospital there were times where 3 people, basically like 2 to 3 people can spawn near the shack in Hospital. So they changed that. Same goes for Lakeside, and same goes for Leo's Memories, where just a lot of people spawn in one place. They are removing that. Ever Sleeping Train, survivors hit by the train won't be incapacitated. They'll just be stunned for 5 seconds. Hunters will be stunned for 5 seconds, and servers can't get off the train voluntarily. This is a buff for hunters in that way. Quick message adjustment. Now you're able to say if the basement's there. Basement and dungeon, it's interchangeable. It changes, based off the proximity you are to the basement or the dungeon. Movement control adjustment. Injured survivors will no longer interrupt the item usage movements after restarting the movement controls. All survivors' injured animation will no longer be interrupted by restarting their movement controls. Smash to tackle a problem that is in mid-high tiers where survivors can restart the movement controls to reduce the time where they are unable to interact. Oh, so basically, they could, before, if you got hit and then you have the little animation, you could just restart your controls and it negates the animation. Now you can't do that anymore. And rescue adjustment. Survivors can immediately rescue after getting hit. People are saying this is a nerf to Feaster, Bonbon. It's not, because Feaster and Bonbon already got this adjustment to themselves. This is what changed Feaster from S- tier to A tier, because his camping used to be OP, but then they added this adjustment, and then Feaster's camping is no longer OP. Bonbon's camping still OP, but they added it to him too. The only camping hunter that relies on this now that they did not give this adjustment to before was Violinist. So this is a nerf to Violinist. It's not a nerf to anyone else. Like, iALiEN doesn't depend on it. Axeboy doesn't depend on it. It's a nerf to Ripper, but Ripper you can already save. If you get hit by a Foggy Blade by the chair, you can already make the save, so it doesn't change Ripper. It's really only a nerf to Violinist. Violinist is camping. And any new future hunters that come out that are camping hunters, it's a nerf to them. But those are all of the changes that are coming to the game. I will link the Reddit post below. Hopefully I remember to link the Reddit post below. But I hope you did enjoy this video. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please subscribe to the channel. If you liked the video, give it a like. And that'll be all for the video. Bye.